Raising children in the Western world is difficult for Africans in the diaspora. It's very difficult because we have a template already in our mind on how to raise our children. But coming to the Western world, you now discover that they have another template, which is not in line with our own template. So you find it difficult because your children now, they are living in a place different from the culture that you know about. So you are telling them something different, something they cannot see. It becomes a challenge. So I'm going to tell you things that you can do to ensure that your children are raised properly. A lot of parents don't even know that there's a deliberate effort to ensure your children are not raised properly. There's a lot of funding going into this. It is a social engineering to ensure that your children do not grow in the right way, especially in the fear of God. There's a lot of compensation for being wayward now. When they tell your 10 years old child to keep secret from you as a parent, then you know this is a serious battle. The battle is for the soul of your child. Don't take it lightly. Don't say that they will make mistake and learn. It's not all prodigal sons that come back home. It's only a prodigal son that finds grace. A prodigal son that solved problems that he couldn't solve that will come back home. Some will find money in the way and they will not find any need to come back home. And they are lost. That generation is lost forever. So as parents, you should be very deliberate, very intentional this year when you are raising your children. Number one, your children must have the fear of God. It is important. How do you instill the fear of God on children? It's by example. How often do you pray? How often do they see you read your Bible? It's not by telling them do this, do that. Are you doing those things? You must be a role model. You must pray with your children every day before they go to school. You must pray. When they come back from school, before they sleep, they should also pray with you. You should study the Bible. It is important. As Africans in the diaspora, you should ensure that your children are not being wayward. They are not being taught by social media. They are not being taught by the government. The government is against what is good. A government that says you cannot drink alcohol except you are 18 also says you can change your pronoun at any age. You can change your gender at any age. It's clear that government is not working for you. As Africans in the diaspora, number one, by example. Number two, your children must be educated. They should love education. Education is not just going to school. As a matter of fact, going to school now discourages children from being educated. Because what they are seeing in school, if that is what education is about, then there's no point going to school, especially public schools. Especially public schools. That is not an example of what school should be, what education should be. Education is hunger for knowledge. They should be able to think independently. They should see problems and want to solve problems. That's education. Not going to school to go and learn, to go and learn about alphabets, gender alphabets. You know what I mean? The alphabet community have eaten into public schools. They are everywhere. They are recruited specifically to bring your children into that community. So you must be clear. Instead of teaching children how to solve mathematics, they are teaching them about gender. So that's not education. You must deliberately teach your children. Let them know how to think independently. That's education. How to solve problems. That's education. Understanding finance. That's education. Knowing how to relate with other people without judging them. That's education. Your children should be able to mingle with those who are Christians, who are Muslims. Being able to sit down and listen to other people's perspective. That's education. Your children should have mind filter, where they hear nonsense and yet they do not follow it. That's a filter. They should be able to select their friends. That's education. You see somebody who is always talking about doing the wrong thing. As a child, you're able to cut from that person. That child is educated. So it's your duty as parents to educate your children. If you cannot afford private schools, then you must sit closely with your children. Even the private school doesn't mean that you will not teach your children the right things to do. But it is better in private schools than in public schools. Public schools now is not something else. There's nothing to write home about in the Western world. Canada, US, UK, nothing to write home about. But they have to go to school. There are other things to learn in school. But education is not there. They may learn to stand for themselves in school. Because people want to bully them, people want to call them names. You can stand that, it will help you in your future. So there's also things that will make them want to go to school. So it is important as parents to ensure that your children, they are educated, they are resilient. Teach them, let them know that there's something called racism. Before a child faces a problem, tell them about that problem. Don't wait for them to see that problem. You may not be able to solve it. You may not be able to surmount it. So you have passed through these levels in life. So tell them what to expect in life. It's just like you have a child who is 13, a daughter who is 13. You start to tell the child about puberty, about the changes in the body. So when the child starts to see blood, the child will know that, okay, mommy told me about this thing. It's natural. The child will not freak out. The same thing with racism. You bring your child to Canada. You bring your child to US. You are shying away from discussing racism with them. People will call them black monkey. Will they start crying in school because they call them black monkey? You must tell them that a racist is somebody who is mentally ill. Anyone that thinks is better than you because you are different in terms of race, that person is mentally ill. So your child should pity that person. Instead of pitying his or herself, they should pity that person and ignore that person. You must let your child know that nobody can dictate what they will be in life except them. It's their mindset. They should try as much as possible to be confident in their culture, in their skin. They should not follow standards set by the woke community. As Christians, we have our standards. The Bible is our standard. If it's not in the Bible, we ditch it. You cannot tell me because I'm not thin, that means I'm not beautiful. No. You can say, okay, if you are too fat, for instance, it may affect your health. That is understandable. It's not about beauty. It's about health. So your child should not feel ugly because it doesn't have six-pack. There's nothing wrong in having six-pack if you have the time to have it. But it's not because you want to be beautiful, it's because you want to be healthy. Your child should not be influenced by social media. Your child should not be following trends. The Bible has been around more than 2,000 years. It has not changed. So why should you be following trends? A lot of children are depressed today because they are confused. They are confused because parents are confused. Parents don't know what to do. So parents, please, it is important that you sit down with your children. I talk to children every day. I saw that a lot of children, they are not close with their parents. And I try to tell them why it is important to be closer to their parents than to friends. A child was telling me the other day that 4 of her friends are closer to her than her parents. It is wrong. I told the child, I said, these are your friends. They are going the same way with you. They've not been there before. So there's nothing that they want to teach you. But your parents have gone through this road before. They know better. And you parents, let's try as much as possible, including me. We should try as much as possible to be friends with our children. Don't be quick to judge them. Don't be quick to shut down on their perspective. Be ready to hear them out. Don't say they are silly. Explain to them. Let your arguments be superior. Don't just command them to sit down. Why should they sit down when they want to stand? You should give them reasons. Is that you are expecting a stray bullet that may come? They should understand the risk of standing when you ask them to sit down. But say that a child must sit down because you have said so, that is tyranny. That's not friendship. That's not leadership. Leadership is when you are able to make people do what you want them to do. They are willing to do it. So you want a child to sit down, and that child wants to sit down. That is leadership. But when you say sit down because I say you should sit down, that's not leadership. And that is the way we grow up. And so we need to unlearn and relearn, including myself. So because of the privilege I have in living among children, so I'm seeing these things in their lives, and I think I should share with other parents. I've been with youth a long time. When I was in Nigeria, I was in charge I was a commissioner in charge of youth in the Scout Association of Nigeria, where I oversaw over 3 million youths. So to a large extent, when I'm talking about young people, I know what I'm talking about. If we want to create a better society, we as parents must sit up and ensure that our children are better than us in every sphere. In education, they should be better. In public relations, they should be better. How we talk to one another should be better. The idea of judging one another based on what we have acquired, material things, we should not pass it to our children. It creates pressure, unnecessary pressure. It creates fakeness of life. People become fake when they are being judged by what they have acquired. It builds resentment. It builds jealousy and envy. That's not how life should be. So let's train our children better way. As Africans in diaspora, let's also ensure that we have a community. Belong to a community, especially a church community, a genuine church community, where you can ask questions, where you can be loved for who you are, not what you have, where you can have people to pray with you and teach you when you are confused. It's important. Please, if you have not subscribed to this channel, just try and subscribe. Subscribe to help this channel to grow. Like and share. Share the link with other friends. I hope this will help somebody. Thank you.